Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Drawn to Life. Let's talk to Mari. Bartleby, thanks for coming. So I was looking around inside Creation Hall. Yes, that's Creation Hall. And found some old books with drawings. Inside Creation Hall you can view what's been drawn in the village. And also create some new heroes to help us out. Go ahead and tap on Creation Hall, then when you're done visit my dad. So now we can actually use Creation Hall for its purposes. If we tap on it, like I'm about to do right now, you load into a area where you can redraw most of what you've done inside the village. Be it stuff for the village itself, the various things we're going to be putting there, or your accessories you'll be getting throughout the game. I'm not going to be doing much in Creation Hall throughout the game. I'm only doing minor edits to our player character twice later on. So Isaac's shop is free of darkness. I guess he's here to stay now. And now the population's risen by 3. Excellent work. I've been doing some thinking. We had such a vibrant village before the sun disappeared. If the creator could design a new sun, perhaps more villagers would return. Through the village snow gates and into the snow caves you go. Alright. And thus the structure of Drawn to Life starts to become a bit more clear, doesn't it? Let's head on out. Oh, hi, Joey. Hey, Bartleby, I had a question for you. Maybe I could come with you on your next adventure? You know, like a sidekick. Nope. I guess Bartleby needs some time to think about it. I have to convince Bartleby to take me along. Either way, with this, I think you can figure out the game's structure. More or less throughout the entire game, what's going to happen is we have an issue in the village, and the mayor sends us into one of the levels to get a page that could hopefully fix those issues. And then we repeat. Snow Caves is one of my least favorite levels in the game, though. Mostly because it's here where the game, one of my more minor complaints with the game comes in. Drawn to Life's levels, especially early on in the game, can drag on a bit due to the lack of things for you to do. For the most part, here in the early game, all you're doing is moving left to right, obviously, shooting your gun every now and then, jumping on enemies, clearing goo, and grabbing the things. Which sounds like a lot, I know, in comparison to some other games. But later levels, particularly levels, worlds, 2 through 4, have enough variation in their levels and the new abilities you get to the point where they feel like they don't go on as long. World 1 is not the most interesting thing in the game, which I know people might say, give it more time and such, and I am with the mentality that there are some games you need to give some time before they really get good. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is especially one of those. And for the most part, this game fits under my rule with that rule idea, where generally, if a game's not holding my interest by 2 hours in, that's probably not a good sign. I might still finish it, depending on the game, though. This game still fits under that rule, because by the second hour, I think you're probably either at the second to last level of this world, or the boss fight, give or take time per drawing. But the first world does not make a good impression in this game. If I recall, Drawn to Life the next chapter is better at that, but again, I haven't played that game since it came out, so I can't remember too much. Heck, my friend was making fun of me for forgetting a certain thing that happens at the beginning of that game, thinking it happened at the end of this one. Or wait, was it the reverse? I forget. Either way, here's our first proposal for this level. Farmer Brown's son.
I'm free. You're a strong hero. Farming runs in my blood. I'm young but can haul bound and crisp like none's business.
You can tell that I forgot that family has a southern accent until reading. That happens every now and then. There are times, like in the Battle Network games, especially, or any game that's very dialogue heavy now that I think about it, where, especially if I haven't done a recording in a while, I have to find that character's voice again, thus, like for the first few lines, I might sound something like this, but towards the end, I'll pick up more of the actual accent, so I'll talk more like this. Where I'm talking like Rufus Shinra from Final Fantasy VII Machine Abridged. Even though I took on a bit more of a Sean Connery at the end. Oh god, my voices are starting to blend together. Ah, that happens. I'm dumb. What we saw a few moments ago, though, that kind of looked like a giant black zit. That is a shadow fountain, I believe is what that enemy is called. And they can be surprisingly deceptive as to their range. Oh, sign. Press up on the control pad to enter the cave. Yeah, there are times you have to enter doors like this. We're not going in there yet, because if I recall, there's something else for me to grab out here. Also, you'll see me wandering around a bit more aimlessly here in the first world compared to later worlds. Due to me trying to remember my way around, and getting used to the game again, because my instincts are telling me I should be going elsewhere. But my brain's like, maybe there's something that way. It also helps that for the first world, I really didn't do test playthroughs of the levels, whereas more or less in the second world onwards, I'll have more of an idea of what I'm doing and where I'm going. Mind you, that also goes into a very minor issue I have with this game, in that due to the fact that most of the worlds have their unique tileset to them that they use through all 5 levels within each world, I get a bit blended as to where I am. And now it's time for us to draw our next thing, a little spring, and more or less I'm replicating the spring from Super Mario World while I'm doing this. This one was, the spring type things, which I think I make 2 or 3 of in the game, are probably the trickiest for me to do because I have no idea how to do the coil effect, right? Like here it looks like a solid block, but now I'm erasing some stuff in it, and now I'm putting some more in. It just does not look too good when you get the finished product. Look at all that gray that shouldn't be there. Ugh. Mind you, part of that is me also being held back by the drawing technology itself. For what it is, it's not bad. It's very close to what you can do with like a beginner's idea of MS Paint, without the ability to somehow make gradients through some weird trickery. But compared to what I'm used to at the moment, which is Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, stuff like that, it's so primitive. But it doesn't need to be in-depth Photoshop because really, it's a kid's game. Come on, Kyle. Although I gotta say, I love this song. Most of Drawn to Life's worlds do that thing where they have like one universal theme throughout them. Maybe with some edited instruments and such, but there are some sub-areas that get their own unique theme like this, and oh, I love this. The background especially is so gorgeous looking. Fifth Cell. When they're not doing the weird kind of sprite rotation stuff that's going on with our protagonist here especially, is really good at art assets. Like, the Scribblenauts series, I actually really like some of the sprite work of, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Maxwell himself's design. Though I need to play another Scribblenauts game, because it's been a while, because even though those games are obviously not aimed towards my demographic, they're fun enough little puzzle games. You can get really silly in them too, which I think is why they were helpfully, partially made more successful. Plus, if you think outside the box, that game's like, whoa. Going into something though, I brought up earlier how levels tend to drag on in this game. Something that doesn't help is that there's not really a way to make some of these levels go faster, because you need to go out of your way to get the templates and such. I recall looking up a speedrun on speedrun.com of this before I started recording the game. And I think a speedrun of the game was like 7, maybe 8 hours long versus like the 13 hours long it says it is on How Long to Beat. Whereas for the sequel, I think the game was roughly the same length on How Long to Beat, but the speedrun was like 3 hours. I forget if that's because Drawn to Life 2 is more dialogue heavy or if the levels are shorter, though, is the thing. Plus, there's probably more speedrun tech because if I recall, they get a bit more in-depth with some of the mechanics in the sequel. And here's some tight jumps. It's not so much that they're hard to make, it's that you need to be kind of precise with them. Thankfully, there's no real punishment for this, for failing there. And I still cannot remember what happens if you get a game over. I think you're just sent back to the world map, which, all things considered, is not the worst punishment. Though, I forget if this is one of those games that has kind of a fake out if you get a game over, kind of like Banjo-Kazooie. I love it when games do that at least once. It's always funny. Alright, where are we now? We're back outside. What am I gonna have to draw next? I forget. Oh, this is this one, isn't it? We need to draw another spring platform, but this one sends you flying higher. So, of course, given this shape, I'm doing the spring from Sonic the Hedgehog. The red one because I like it over the yellow one, plus it's easier to shade. This one, I believe, not only sends you higher, but I think compared to the other one, it actually has the thing going on with springs where I think if you hold down the button, you might go faster, I think? Higher? The game's weird. I know there's at least one spring-like object that does that in this game, but I can't remember if it's these ones or some of the ones later on. Though I gotta give them credit for having this many unique objects, because a lot of these objects don't get reused in future levels. So they had to make like 3 to 4 unique things for you to draw per stage, more often than not, especially in the later levels. And that's just really cool. It makes me wonder how much of the development time was just committed to thinking of these ideas and how to implement them. I'm sure the actual drawing segment was probably what took a lot of the ideas, or not ideas, effort in terms of implementing, because you had to make the art program itself, make sure it worked and all the things worked in that, as well as how the colors would look on screen versus, like, say, on a computer. I'll get more into that in a second. We found Farmer Brown. Y'all rescued me something good. We got lost down here after leaving the village. Anyway, I'll meet you at the exit gate. All right. As I was saying, then you also have to keep in mind the implementation of the things you draw and how it would save the sprite, the animation for it. There's probably a lot of work that went into that. I should probably see if I can find anything on that, because that'd be very interesting to learn. I love filling my brain with useless video game trivia that would only win me something at like a trivia show. Something I believe the sequel also did more off the bat was give you more interesting enemies to fight, but again, I'm fuzzy on that. Which might be something I say a lot in this playthrough, at least until halfway through this, roughly, which is a far way away, all things considered, because honestly, I know I mentioned that this game's like 13 hours and how long to beat. I figured that was for a first playthrough, but honestly, that's more accurate than I really should give it credit for. Because this game is a lot longer than I remember it being. I figured this would be like 8 parts and I'm done. Nope, not by a long shot. Not even half that. Not even double that even. Or wait, more than double that. Mind you, not that I actually minded, because even though I had a bit of a rough start with recording this because of the issues I mentioned earlier with the dragging on the early parts and stuff like that, I actually had a lot of fun revisiting this. Partially due to nostalgia, partially for other reasons. Oh, I didn't even notice that I screwed up on that. There's like a little pace erased from the red part of the spring. Oh, that looks horrible. Oh. One thing I'm aware of, actually, when it comes to, like, finding a template or rescuing a Raposa or finding a secret, is that whenever, like, the template fountain text shows up, I believe in, like, at least the Asian language versions, that's still in English, but they put in, like, Japanese, Korean subtitles beneath it. Which also reminds me, I think this game's called, like, God's Mannequin, or, like, Drawn to Life God's Mannequin in Japan or something. And now we need to draw an ice cube to get us across water. This is more or less serving as a little platform. Something I actually probably should have done with this one is added a bit of a border to it to give it more of a rounded rectangle shape, just to make it feel more like an actual ice cube, but actually, wait, do I do that? No, I think I just make it a complete square. You can tell it's been a while since I saw that. Yeah, that's a complete square. I probably should have rounded it off to make it look a bit better, but I'm also holding my art in this for some reason to the standards I would put for school, which generally not the best idea. Although seeing it now, I might notice that the border is a bit thicker than what I actually drew on the thing, at least on the top and left. That's due to an odd thing I can't quite figure out with some of the things in Drawn to Life's drawings. And that sometimes the little dark bluish border they have will count. Like, say if you put, like, black on that, it will count towards the drawing, but sometimes if you put black on it, it won't. And I can't quite tell when it's what. Because sometimes I swear it should be counting towards the edge, but it doesn't. Other times I swear it shouldn't, but it does. It's weird. Also, I really like that jingle. This game's jingles make me happy. I think David J. Franco was the guy who did the soundtrack for this game. A lot of good work. Not as much of it is as catchy as I would like, but it gives enough of an atmosphere where I just don't give a shit. Because especially like an ice area, atmosphere is good to have. Though, again, kudos to this game for getting rid of the ice level early on and having very little slippery physics to it, I say, as I'm slipping on one of the few things you can actually slip on. And here's our third Raposa. Farmer Brown's wife. I'm so grateful for you rescuing me. Such a sweet thing. I'll be seeing you back in the village. And I think that's the last time we ever hear her talk. It gets kind of hard, actually, later on in the game when you have a couple of the same kind of sprite in the town. Because while they're generally stick to a certain area, sometimes they intermingle, and it's just kind of hard to tell which one's which. Mind you, I say that, but it's also very unrealistic to expect each NPC to have a unique sprite in even any kind of game, really, unless there's only like 10 of them. And now we need to draw a submarine, which, gee, yellow. I wonder what I'm referencing with this. This is actually one of the ones I was very satisfied with because I figured I was able to do the shading on the yellow really well. I just wish I was actually able to color the window a bit because you can't for some reason. They come across more as little clear spaces where I guess your character's supposed to be, but I like trying to draw in glass. It feels cool. Though that also gets into one of my more preferred things with this game. I like it when they give you an outline to work with more so than just a freeform drawing. Because I feel like you're able to do a bit, or at least I'm able to do a bit better with the actual art on that. Though I'm sure some people will enjoy the ones where you're given freeform control more or less. More fun, though, too. The submarine controls a bit oddly, though. Because you're sinking down automatically. It's not something where you, like, just hold up and you go up. You have to press, it's either press or hold the jump button to head up. I think it's hold, because if it's just going up or down the other way, that's more like flying with the aerial gargoyle and demon's crest. Oh, I just noticed something that's kind of weird about Bartleby. You can see, like, the edges of the chainmail I made on his thighs because of the way the legs break off. I did not notice that when playing, but mind you, I probably would take a hit so soon after getting my legs destroyed anyway that it doesn't matter. Oh, and here we have one of my times of me forgetting, is there something back here? Am I missing something? Paranoia. That also helps in making some of the levels feel a bit long. Also, yeah, water automatically damages you, so watch out for that. Or at least it doesn't most of the time. There are a few occasions where we might be able to enter the water later on. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Like I said, there are a lot of coins in this game. I forget what my amount is due to the fact I can't see the the top screen at the moment, rather. But it's probably getting close to 1,000 right now. In fact, it's probably over 1,000. But let's see if I can make a good guess. Given the point we're at and the rough coins I got, in general from what I remember per world, I'm probably going to guess around 1,800, maybe 1,900. It's a bit early. Actually, it might be a bit early for 1,900. Let's say 1,600. It's probably a good guess. Mind you, part of me wonders if the coins were at one point supposed to also give you extra lives for a certain amount, given how many there are in a stage. At the same time, though, given so many, that would be the point, because you just have so many extra lives. Thus is the Mario conundrum that I'm very glad Mario Odyssey solved, because while I'm still a fan enough of lives as a video game punishment, like say if you die too much you restart the stage, or the world in some cases I suppose, lives have been kind of old-fashioned. There we go. I can't say that word for some reason today. They're an old-fashioned practice that in most platformers just don't work too well. Because, like, say, Rayman Origins. Hard as hell game. But there are so many checkpoints that lives feel pointless anyway. And I like that. Mario Odyssey. You lose some coins, and there's plenty of them in the game, so it's almost kind of a meaningless punishment to begin with. I actually kind of wish you lost a few more coins. But at the same time, that game's too good anyway. And plus, the challenge actually felt just right throughout, especially 100%ing it. 2017 was a good year for video games, and I 100%ed a lot of them. Persona 5 was probably my favorite of the year, though. In fact, I already know it was because we're in 2018 now. Yeah, this is actually the first playthrough being recorded in 2018, by the way. Hello from January 5th. At this point, though, I believe we're getting toward... Oh, there's my first death. Most deaths just send you back to the beginning of wherever you entered from. In this case, it was because I entered from a cave. Some cases, it'll be the beginning of the section you were in. Other cases, it'll be from the green door you last entered because... Or entered and exited, because that's just that was the nearest little checkpoint you went through. Either way, that's... I already forget if it's icy caves or snow caves. I'm not the biggest fan of this level. The submarine's cool, though. And yeah, that's about it. I guess that's the way they kind of balance out the fact that these worlds all use... each world uses one complete set... tile set. They give you unique set pieces in the items that you draw, which is a good balance. And that's another 100 Rapo tokens / Rapo-Coins. Be consistent to what you call them, game. And let's head back to the village, which doesn't actually have a name other than the village. Yet. Wink. Oh, hey, Farmer Brown. You're back. Yep, this your family and I should never have left. Where's the mayor? Well, you should be speaking with him. Oh, he should be in front of the village hall. Thanks much, youngin'. We'll be seeing you around. Could walk a bit faster there, guys. Come on. The creator needs to draw her a Rapo scooter or something. Okay, they were aware of that one. Hey, Bartleby. So how were the snow caves? There was a submarine? Because it wasn't that amazing. That's about all I can say. Oh, Rapo, a submarine? And the creator drew it for you. You gotta take me with you on your next adventure. Please? Hey, Bartleby, the mayor wanted to see you. All right, thank you. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we'll be talking with the mayor after finishing that level and seeing what our next task is from him. See you guys then.